This conference will now be recorded.
Right, let's start today's session. So in the last session, we were discuss about the JavaScript basics. So how to create JavaScript function like external JavaScript file and internal JavaScript file. Two files are there. But in today's session, I'm going to show you JavaScript form validations. Okay. So in today's lecture, I'm going to show you JavaScript form validations. Because validations are very important in any web development process. So normally form validation means whenever we enter the data into form like HTML form or any other form, Django form, that entered data should be validate. Means whether user entered data is valid or not, we have to check. If the user entered data is valid, then only we can submit request to the server. But validations we can perform two ways. Client side validations and server side validations we can perform. Client side validation, server side validation. Server side validations. Sometimes you can perform validations at server side also. But most of the cases in most of the real-time applications, we can perform validations at client side only. Why? Because if you perform validations at server side, complete data like form data should submit it to the server. There it has to check whether user entered data is correct or not at server side. If any one of the field value is not correct, then server will not accept your request. Again, we have to re-enter all the details in client side. Next attempt also you did some mistake, wrong enters. Again, server will not accept your request. So how many number of times you are sending request? Each time when we use wrong data, then that request will not be processed. So if you perform validations at server side, more round trips are going to take place to the server and client in between. So that's what better to perform validations at client side only. The reason is when we pass the validations at when we perform validations at client side means at browser location only, we can perform validations. Means whether data is correct or not, we can perform validation in the browser side only. Okay. So what is the advantage when we perform validations at client side? You need to enter correct data. So once we enter correct data only, then your request will be submitted to the server. Otherwise, it will not at all submit to the server. So at the client location only, browser location only, it will check clearly all the fields, validations are correct or not, it will check. So if you do validations client side and your request will not submitted every time to the server. Here only we are cross verifying if user entered data is correct all, then we can submit to the server. So that is the best way to perform the validations at client side only. So we are performing client side validations. Why? Because JavaScript is what side? Client side, not server side. JavaScript is completely client side only. And mainly JavaScript can be used for what purpose? JavaScript can be used for form validations purpose. So form validation means you need to prepare HTML form. In that form, we have to enter some data. That data we need to send it to JavaScript function. That function will collect the form data and it will check whether it is according to requirement, user requirement correctly entered or not. If it is entered, JavaScript will say true or false. If it is true, then form will be submitted to the server. If not true, means JavaScript says something wrong, means not valid data, so your request will not be submitted to the server. This is exactly JavaScript form validations, how it will work. So let's see this how to work with JavaScript form validations step by step. So to prepare JavaScript form validations, first of all, we need to have that form. What form have? HTML form have. Look at this. I'm trying to prepare HTML form here. Okay, form is need to be required. So this is HTML form. The HTML script here. I'm right now index1.html page is there. In this body section, I need to prepare HTML form. You know, in HTML, if you want to prepare the form, then what tag is required? Form tag is required. Inside the form tag, you can see this. The name equals to form name is required because why this form name is required, sir? So name equal to my form. Okay, yes. So here not, sorry. Name equals to my form or any name you can take. Why we need to give the name of the form? Because this name attribute through only when we give the form name, this form name we can use later in JavaScript functions. So your JavaScript should recognize your form data. So by using this name only, the data is coming from which form it has to recognize by using this my form, sir. So form name equal to my form. Next method equal to post. If I use post method, then the details which we enter in the form, it will not appear in the URL address. If you entered method is get means obviously details will be submitted to the URL. Details will be appear into the URL address. That is not secure. Okay. So name my form method is post only. So the as of now form tag is having two attributes, name attribute, method attribute. Next we'll include more attributes. First let me prepare the form. I'm taking form is username, and now you can see for this input I'm taking input type text. Input type text, name equals to username. Name also important, sir. Why? Because whatever we enter the data in this text box, this data should go to JavaScript logic. How JavaScript functions can recognize the data is coming from where by using this name only. So let me include PR. Next I'm taking password colon. I'm taking input. Input type equal to text only I'm giving because so whether you are entered correct password or not, I have to show you. That's what I'm giving text. So if I give password, so only password not visible dot 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 will be there. That is not correct. So let me show you text only so that you will also get clarity what password I'm entering. Name of this control is password only. I'm taking password. Next BR. Next finally I'm taking button. So input type equals to submit, value equals to just login. Okay. Then next you can see name is not required, value equals to login. That's it. So this is the forms or HTML form we prepared. So now let's run this normal form here. So normal form when we run, this is username, password, login. Okay. So do you want to provide a one more break here? So BR, this is what? Username, password, login. Fine. But my requirement is what here? Look at this. Here, action method I'm creating. Action method means where do you want to submit? I want to submit my request the moment when we submit. So I have to go to flipkart.com web page. Look at this here in this case. When we click on submit button. So now you can see here flipkart.com website is directly moving or not? Yes. Is there any validations? No validations. Or is there any data what we entered? No. So look at this here. If I try to give this get method, what is the problem? You can see this method equal to get I'm taking. So when we use method equal to get, so the moment when we try to type some username and password, look at this. After moving this flipkart.com website, Note this, after moving into flipkart.com website, on the URL address, look at this username Mohan and password is Mohan. Is it visible or not? Yes. So username and password is clearly visible to everyone in the URL address targeted web page flipkart.com. So this is not secured. This is not good practice. So that's what method should be, what actually post only. The moment when we use method equal to post, then when we enter the details, for example, username and password, after entering the details, username and password, the moment when we click on login, so you are going to reach to flipkart.com. But look at this, that username and password is visible here? No. Username and password is not visible here, sir. Clearly, look at this. Got it? So this is post mechanism. So right now we don't have any validations without submit, without enter any values in this text boxes. So your login is going to be successfully done. But my requirement is, so username cannot be blank. Okay. How to perform JavaScript validations? What are the condition means? First requirement is username cannot be blank, sir. Username cannot be blank. Next requirement is password minimum 6 character length. Password minimum 6 character length, sir. Username cannot be blank. Password minimum 6 character length. Username cannot be blank. If username is blank, then I can display this message. If user don't enter username in the text box, I can say this one. And if user is entered password is less than 6 characters, I need to display this message password minimum 6 character length like this. So these two are the requirement in this form. So to perform the validations for this form, JavaScript validation, we need JavaScript or not? Yes. But do you have any JavaScript file? No. So let's go to JavaScript file here. External JavaScript file is there already. I created sample.js. Into this Java sample.js file, I need to create JavaScript function. So to create JavaScript function, we have to use function, and function name, you can take any name. Validate form I'm taking. Validate form is my function name. You can take any name, open bracket and close bracket. And this JavaScript function need to collect the data from where? HTML form. So where username, okay, username. This username is a JavaScript variable, but for this username value will come from where? HTML document. So document dot your form name is what, sir? My form dot the name of the text box name is what? Username dot value. This is the case. We can see next where password equals to document dot form name is my form dot password dot value like this. Look at this, where username equals to document dot my form dot username dot value, where password equal to document dot my form dot password dot value. So these two, username and password, are JavaScript variables, because to declare JavaScript variables we use where keyword. Here document means HTML document. What is your HTML document name? My form. Look at this, my form is the name of the form. That's what I'm giving. Because JavaScript logic also should know the details should come from where? My form only. So after that, in that my form, we are entering what? Username. So where we are entering username? In this text box. This text box name is what? Username. By using this name through, we are accessing values. Here also this name through, we are accessing password. Dot values means whatever we enter the value in the username text box from the my form, from the HTML document, we are storing into JavaScript variable. So this is what the process of collecting the input values from the normal HTML form. After that, we need to write the code. What code? Here you can see, if username equal to empty, or username equal to null means username nothing is there or empty is there. So I need to say in the alert box what is that username cannot be blank like this. Username cannot be blank. I can say that. Username cannot be blank. Return false message. I have to give JavaScript through. Else block. Else if password dot length less than 6. If password is length is less than 6, I can say alert. So what is that? Password minimum 6 character length. I have to say that. Okay. Return false. This is the case, sir. Okay. So here, what is the JavaScript function? Validate form is the JavaScript function. Right now, this function is not in active. Yes, it is not in active mode. When it is active mode, in the sense whenever you call this function, as per our rule, even Python also we were discussed. When we create a function, you must and should call that function. Function will work only when we call it. If we don't call it, function will not work. So that's what. So function validate form username and password, which is collecting from the HTML document that I'm checking username is null means username cannot be blank. If password length is less than 6 means, so now you can see alert password minimum 6 character length return false. So this is the example. So this form validate form function we have to call into HTML form. So how to call mean the sense in the form on submit event is there. On submit event return function name is this one validate form only. Function name validate form. We are calling the form on submit form. On submit is the event whenever the moment when we submit the form, then we have to call this validate form JavaScript function. Now we can see here when we go to JavaScript, now it is active mode only validate form. So let's run this index1.html. Previously, if I don't enter any data, also click on submit button. Previously it was open flipkart.com, but now this time you can see this. So it is also going to open flipkart.com. What is the problem, sir? Yes, we are having JavaScript logic here, validate form. We have called JavaScript function into this HTML form, but one mistake we did now. So we have not at all added JavaScript external JavaScript file to this HTML form. Did I add any external JavaScript file to this HTML form? No. That's what the JavaScript logic is not impacting onto this form. So external JavaScript file is sample.js. How to add external JavaScript files are to the HTML document on the head section. We have to use script tag. So in that script tag, we have to use src equals to. What is your JavaScript file? Sample.js. What type of file it is? Text.javascript. Text/javascript. That's it. So we are trying to include this external JavaScript file to this HTML document. And only this JavaScript file through we are calling validate form function correctly. So otherwise not. So you must and should include JavaScript file into your HTML documents. Now we can see this the moment when we don't enter any data into these text boxes. When we don't enter any data into these text boxes. Okay, click on submit. So look at this, it is not allowing me. So username cannot be blank. User must and should enter the data here. Okay, username cannot be blank like this. Username cannot be blank. So you have to enter username must. I am entering username clearly. After entering username, look at this. Once we click on login, now you can see password 6 character length. So if I enter password 5 characters, again it is saying password minimum 6 character length. So if I say password 6 character length correct, then click on login, then it will go to flipkart.com website. So we are performing validations using JavaScript through where we are performing at client side only. Okay, we are performing at client side only validations. Okay, not server side using JavaScript logic. So how does this HTML forms know that the JavaScript function is there. So on the above section, we have included sample.js. In this sample.js, what function is there? Validate form function is there. Immediately when we click on submit login button, on submit event will call. When it will call, it will return the values to the validate form. So validate form, where it is there, sample.js. This sample.js will collect the username from HTML document. Your document name is my form. Your text box name is username. Value will come. What we entered in the first text box, that value will come and stored into username. And what we entered the password text box, that value will stored into password. These conditions will check in the validate form function. If username is blank, then alert message will be there. Username cannot be blank. If password dot length less than 6, password minimum 6 character length, it will say that. So this is the simple program for JavaScript form validations. So you have to know like this only. At least you should be in a position how to prepare a JavaScript function and how to add that JavaScript function to your HTML document for performing validations. So this is one simple example. And one more example, let me discuss. Now this time I want to go for retype password validation. Retype password validation means sometimes in the HTML form, we can have the form like username and password and password confirmation form will be there. So we can have the form. In that form, what is requirement in the sense we need to check password and retype password both are same or not. So in that context, again, we have to go for JavaScript function here. So let me prepare retype password JavaScript logic how it is. So for this, I'm taking index page only now, index.html. So I'm trying to, now you can see here is index.html. So I need to prepare the form first. To prepare the form in HTML, what is the tag is required? Form tag is required. So form tag is having what methods? So action method. Action method, I'm not going to flipkart.com, home.html, I'm going. Okay. Because already home.html page is with us, which we created. So this is home.html page like this. Okay. So I'm going to write in the home.html page in the just h1 section. This is home page. This is home page, sir. Home.html page is there already. So my requirement is I'm just preparing index.html. So in the form tag, action method is there. Home.html page I have to move. Then what is the name of the form? You can give the name of the form, my form, or any name. Any name you can take, not a problem. Name of the form. Okay. So after that, what we can say method equal to, if you want, you can give the post better. So this is the form attributes, action attribute, name attribute, method attribute. And after that, I need to prepare the form. So what is the form? First, I'm going to use password. Password. I can create label actually. Different style I'm trying to do. Labels I'm creating. Label for password. Okay, here enter password. Next, I'm taking input type text. Name equals to password1. Let me copy this label for retype password. Enter, re-enter password better. Next, this is text only I want to make because we have to see this whether I am entering password and retype password both are correct or not. So here I'm giving name of the password is password2. Finally, I'm taking input type submit value also submit. That's it. Once I run this index page, look at this. It is looking like this. Enter password, re-enter password. But we have to adjust this. So here password one after we have to use break, and after label after we have to use break tag. So now Look like, oh no, enter password after not. So let me check. Text box after we have to use break. Yes. After that again, text box after we have to use break. Yes, this is correct. Okay, enter password and enter retype password. So look at this password and retype password, both must be same only. Then only you have to submit, otherwise not. Okay. So in that context, what we need to do? We need to write JavaScript function. But look at this, even if I don't enter password and what we can say password and retype password same. Okay, re-enter password, click on submit, it will go to home page or not? Yes. But this values, this validation, this form is not having any validations. It don't have any validations. Without checking validations also, it is going to be submit the details to the server. That means a page is going to be open, but that's not good. So I need to check the validation, what actually password 1, password 2, both passwords are matching or not. If that both password are matching, then only I need to submit values to the uh, then only my request submit to the process, means server. Let's see this. Do you have any JavaScript function here to process this password one and then retype password is correct or not, checking purpose? No. Let me prepare JavaScript function, external JavaScript function. So I'm going to add one more JavaScript function, templates. Right click on templates folder, go to new, and the JavaScript file I'm selecting. Look at this JavaScript file. In this JavaScript file, I'm giving okay, sample1, any name you can take, not a problem. Sample1 dot html, I'm giving JavaScript file, it is sample1, that's it. Already we have selected JavaScript file, sample1 dot js is there, so js is coming, sample1 dot js. Now here we need to write JavaScript function. How to write JavaScript function? Function, a function name is uh, password check. Password check my function name, and where pwd1, it should be, it is actually JavaScript variables are here. This variable should collect the value from what? Form, HTML form. What is your HTML form name? My form. What is your what we can say, first input type name? Password1. Second input type name? Password2. So pwd1 should come from HTML document dot your form name is my form dot value is, first text box value is password1, then value. Next where pwd2 equals to document dot my form dot password 2 dot value I'm taking. So here I'm comparing. If pwd1 equal to pwd2, then I can say return true, sir. Simple. Yes, return true. Else I can say alert message. Alert message. What is that? Password mismatch. I can say that. Password mismatch. Exactly. And after password mismatch, return what actually? False. So this is the case which I want to do. Function name is what, sir? Password check. Where pwd1 is means password 1, which is coming. This is the JavaScript variable, and this JavaScript variable value is coming from your HTML document. Your HTML document name is my form. In that HTML document, password 1 is the name of the first text box. What we enter in the first text box value is coming and stored into pwd1. So we are collecting the values from HTML form, pwd1, pwd2. These two are JavaScript variables. These two are matching, then return true. Your form will be successfully submit. Else, if not matching means, else block means not matching only. Password mismatch. So return false, I should say that. When this, now we can see this JavaScript function also is not in active. When it will be active means we have to call this JavaScript function into your HTML form. So here I'm going to call on submit event. Okay, return the values compulsory. Here this values we have to return to calling place where we are calling the function. Return, what is the function name? Password check. Once we have this return password check, it's okay now. But did I include this sample1.js file into your HTML page like index.html? No. So compulsory we have to include our external JavaScript file. So external JavaScript file, how to include means script tag is there. In this script tag, look at this src is attribute equals to what? Sample1.cs. Sorry, sample1.js. After that, type equal to what? Actually, text JavaScript. Src equals sample1.js, type equal to text slash JavaScript. It's coming or not? Yes, fine. Working fine, sir. So after that, once we run this now, this page, sample.html page, index.html page, now we can see this without, now we can see submit button. This is home page only. So it is possible. Why it is possible? Action method is by default, it's going submit. Password check function. No, yes, sir. I know that this is why it is not happening. This is why it is not happening. Just observe here. I understand that. If user entered data, then only compare the data. Look at this. This time it is not going to be say alert box. Password is mismatch or not? Yes. Password is mismatch. Clearly observe here. Password is mismatch. Now user is entered data correctly, then it will be submit to the server. Correct. This is correct. But you may get doubt, sir, why this page is going to submit directly without enter password, re-enter password also? Because we have a validation. No, yes, validation is there. What type of validation you have? Only comparison validation. Text box one, password two, both are matching or there. You are checking that validation is there. But you can observe here, in this case, only JavaScript logic will work when the data is coming from text box one, text box two, then only both are matching or not, it will say that. Both are matching or there, it will say that. But if not, data is not there, it will submit, not a problem. If data is there, validation will perform. If there is no data is there, no validation have written for there is no data. So in that context, how to restrict means just better to go for here input type equals to required. We can say that required. You know that already. Required. Required means what? I need required this text box value. Here also I'm taking required. Now this time you can see this. Once I have added required value, even if I don't enter any data, it will not allow me submit. Please fill out this field. Okay, is there any submit? No. I'm filling this field. Again, click on submit field. Please fill out this field. I'm taking mismatch. Even now, this time you can see data is mandatory to enter. And after mandatory to enter, if I click on submit button, now this JavaScript validation is calling password is mismatch, not matching. So data should be there. And along with that data, both password, enter password, retype, enter password should be matched. Then only this is home page is submitting. But now this time you can see password is visible clearly to all. But if you want to make invisible password means here you can see type equal to what? Password type you have to take input type. Type equal to password type. Wantedly I'm taking text type because you have to know whether I'm entering password and retype password both are same entering or not. Now you can see like this. Enter same password. It will go to submit. Now you can see even I don't want to enter any same password. It will not allow you. Required attribute is there. Again, it will not allow you. Required attribute is there. I'm not entering same password. Obviously, password is mismatch. This is JavaScript function. Through we are going to call this, sir. So mainly, even in real time, in every web development, not only Django web development, JavaScript can be used mainly what, sir? Form validation purpose. Form validation means the moment when we collect the data from HTML form, that validations compulsory need to be submit to the JavaScript. JavaScript can find the solution for you, whether it is valid or not. If it is valid, it will allow you to send request to the server. If not valid, it will stop the request clearly here. So this is where JavaScript logic, how to create JavaScript function, how to call the JavaScript functions we use. Like see in Django, in our within 1 or 2 days, I'm going to starts with the Django completely, what we discussed previously. Okay. So even I start Django again, we are not going to use this kind of JavaScript logic because Django itself, it's a more popular framework. It's provide a lot of built-in validations. In case at the Django time your requirement is not satisfied with the built-in Django validations, then you want to prepare your own validation, then you can go for JavaScript validation logic and you can inject into your validations into HTML form. For that purpose, you have to know at least how to prepare JavaScript function, how to use the JavaScript function in HTML document, how to make validations at client side. So this is about JavaScript and this is about today's session. Today I'm just closing the session early today only because I need to reach to my institute today early. So that's what I'm closing session today. Tomorrow we'll continue. Tomorrow I'm going to start with jQuery basics. But jQuery you need not to concentrate much more. But just I will make you idea clearly how to work with jQuery. But jQuery is completely outdated. Don't use. But I will tell you the basics of jQuery, and after that Bootstrap also I'll tell you. But better to concentrate much more on Bootstrap only. So because Bootstrap techniques more we will use in our Django application development.